I'm seeing Chelsea have been relegated into the Championship by the British media for the second time in about 2.5 years.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Yeah, what's poppin', people? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you're doing well, friend. I wholeheartedly and genuinely do hope that. Welcome back to the Chelsea news. Yes! Today, we are discussing how Chelsea are being relegated into the second division. Or at least, that's what people are saying. Martin Ziegler reporting it's very, points deduction, relegation for Chelsea and Manchester City after, of course, Everton have been docked points as a punishment for breaching financial fair play rules, which, by the way, are changing in a few years. Everton feeling aggrieved that they're being done now, potentially slam dunked into the Championship for rules that will change, but that's by the by. We're going to talk about Everton's points deduction, the ramifications for Chelsea and Manchester City, and could the treble winners and Chelsea Football Club be relegated into the Championship. Lots to get into today, of course. If you're joining me for the first time, consider subscribing for more content from yours truly. If you are already a subscriber, hey, to everyone, make sure you've turned the bell on if you do indeed want to be part of the community. And if you want to support your content creator, drop a like on the video. Okay, let's get into it. First of all, a big shout out to Cole Palmer, who made his England debut yesterday and looked pretty darn pokey. Oddly playing on the left-hand side under football tactical genius Gareth Southgate. Why did you play him over there? Just, move Foden out on the left and let him, bring him in, Cole Palmer in the middle. You say you want to play Cole Palmer as a number 10. Anyway, that's by the by. He did some good little bits. He's very confident. The Cole Palmer stocks are soaring into the stratosphere. Jump on board now. It's a very exciting time for the young man. So congratulations to him. Any other sort of housework I need to get through before we talk about the main event? Wesley Fofana sharing on his social media after a long time, him in boots, probably getting back on the grass. I'm a big Wesley Fofana fan, so I'd love to see him back playing the football. But other than that, I think we probably should talk about the big story that's going around all the headlines. Context: Everton have been docked 10 points. Now, originally, the Premier League wanted to do a 12-point penalty, and that was publicised a little while ago now. No one really took it seriously, and although people did assume a points penalty was coming, maybe they figured, and this is me speculating here, half of what was originally stated. That's usually what happens. Half of 12, 6 points, but no, they were slapped with a 10-point deduction, which of course leaves them joint bottom of the Premier League on 4 points. I still think Sean Dyche's Everton will be okay. They're playing too well to be relegated, even with that, points deduction. I think they'll just creep out while Luton and Burnley and Sheffield and maybe even Bournemouth, but those three you'd have to say are going to go down. So Everton against the world now, maybe this will even galvanise them. Now, for context, Everton's point penalty is for 1 charge, but it's not the same as Manchester City's 115 charges. Manchester City's 115 charges, a lot of them are recurring. David Ornstein explained this, so it's like over a set period, and because they're doing the same thing, it's recurring. Some small, some big. This one big charge that Everton have been hit with it's something they've actually been collaborating with the Premier League for a couple of years now, and it's actually quite a big charge. People need to do your own research here, but it's there's a lot of stuff, and there's loads of things you can do with this financial fair play rules, which is changing its name, it's changing its branding, and in a couple of years, it's changing its rules as well to apparently align themselves more closely with UEFA's financial rule structure. Some stuff's more looser, some stuff's more strict. Sounds boring to me. Just make sure you don't break the rules as far as I'm concerned. Everton did break the rules, and they kind of was telling the Premier League as they go, like, we're kind of messing this up, guys. Yeah, we might be breaking some rules here, but they thought the transparency will help them. We'll get onto that with Chelsea in a moment. And they knew a punishment was coming. So this isn't like shock horror. I think they just feel the punishment far outweighs the crime, but there is a crime there, ladies and gentlemen. They did screw up their finances big time. They lost sponsorships with their Russian oligarch. Wouldn't know what that's like. So it was coming. I think, personally, it's too harsh. I think everyone thinks it's too harsh. have a dog in this fight. Everton are a big club. They're a part of the Premier League. Look, if they've been crap, if they've financially been silly for a while, then, they might go down by their own sort of poor management. But look, if they did screw up big time, then just, give them a 6-point deduction. Dyche should get them out of it, no problem. I think this is too harsh. I agree with Jamie Carragher. I agree with pretty much everyone. What's happening here is the Premier League are trying to make an example of Everton here, and if they do that, the right thing would be making an example of Chelsea and Man City as well. We will get to these clubs, especially Chelsea, in detail. It would be unfair to be like, oh, Everton aren't the blockbuster club that bring the views so much. Let's just make an example of them. That would be so effed up, But what the Premier League are trying to do is they're trying to sway away from this momentum that the external footballing world is applying to them, or pressure, should I say, for an independent, external regulator to keep them in check. They want to do everything themselves. And what's been accused of them for a while is they can't police their own rules, a bit like UEFA when they tried to kick Man City out of the Champions League and they couldn't even do that. You can't even police your own league. And they're like, no, we can. Everton have messed up here. And you know what? Guess what? You ready? The biggest punishment ever done in Premier League history. I think the previous of that was it Derby? No, Portsmouth? Who went into administration? Anyway, administration is a 9-point rule. But that's, been set for a while. 10-point is a new record. And obviously for this one breach for Everton, very, very harsh. There's loads of details. You can go out and look at it. Everton are going to appeal. I don't know what they'll do. It might lower the points. It might do nothing. It could theoretically go the other way, where the Premier League says, all right, well, we wanted 12 points. Hopefully your appeal, when we go back into it, you'll end up with even more points deduction. I don't know. I mean, it was all in theory could happen. There's loads of detail on it. If you're interested in learning how they got to this part, check out The Athletic. But let's move on. So Man City is a different one. Now, I'm going to be careful when I speak here. UEFA learned this, that when you take on Man City, you're taking on a sovereign state, you're taking on a country's wealth with unlimited funds that can spend in the legal system and just absolutely outpower you, and this is intimidating to UEFA. This is intimidating to the best and richest league in the world, the Premier League. It's kind of like they don't want that kind of heat. Now, I'm going to stop there. It's very, very delicate, and I'm not going to talk about Man City because, even when caught cheating through emails, they managed to not be punished. Now, the Premier League are looking at 115 charges. It's been nearly a year. Has it been nearly a year or over a year since that was publicised? Much like Chelsea, Man City are going to have to understand how something's going to happen here. But of course, Man City, the richest, or, backed by Abu Dhabi, super, unlimited money. And again, the treble winners, the optics, the constant, relentless, recurring Premier League winners of the last 5-6 years. I just don't think the Premier League. I think the Premier League's scared of Man City, genuinely. But that's what I think. Let's talk about Chelsea. So Chelsea, of course, have not got charges. Now, Everton have that one big charge. Man City have 115 charges of different shapes and sizes. Chelsea have accusations. Now, the accusations actually have come about because Todd Boehly and the Chelsea ownership presented them to the Premier League, the Football Administration, the FA, and of course, UEFA. They did that as soon as they purchased Chelsea. They looked through the books because they wanted to know what they were buying. They went, what's this? And they went to basically the governing bodies, the FA, Premier League, and UEFA, and said, look, guys, we've seen this. This is not something we'd do, but we want to self-report it to let you guys know. Of course, we know UEFA, they can only go back 3 years. They went, thank you for telling us. Yeah, not ideal. Have an £8 million fine. Chelsea went, thank you very much. Here's your £8 million. Now, it's been reported initially when the club was sold, and indeed recently it's been reiterated by The Athletic, David Ornstein and Liam Twomey, that yes, Chelsea have got 100 million put to the side for these kind of occurrences. So you might be 8 million into that pocket. So what? 92 million left. Ish, probably. So what's left now is the FA and the Premier League. And I guess I'm going to be speculating here, but maybe they work in tandem. I'm not entirely sure. I'm assuming they would be. I'd be very interested to learn how those two, organisations work in terms of the investigation. Is it separate? Is it together? Chelsea will think because, and this is what I said in yesterday's video, because they've self-reported that they will be treated favourably, that they will be expecting ramifications, a fine, and they will pay that fine, and they'll explain to Premier League, to the FA, yeah, we see that's wrong, we would never do that, we wanted to tell you, and yes, we accept a fine, and this will never happen again, shake hands and leave. Now, Everton were collaborative with the Premier League, and they got stitched with a 10-point deduction. Now, Chelsea's allegations are very serious. Now, they're not the same in terms of recent running of the club and just misspending. It's like paying agents historically, and it is difficult because it's a previous regime. Should that matter? Honestly, no. I mean, there might be some form of human emotional thing here, like, come on, like we don't want this to happen in the future. This won't happen again. This was a very unique situation. This was a Russian oligarch that was sanctioned. He's out of the picture. He's out of the league. Chelsea have been a really big contributor to the brand of the Premier League. There'll be, so we'll talk about that about Man City again in a little set in a minute. Let's just fine them, and no one again will mess up with the Everton, with the fines and this, and Man City might be a bit separate. People won't do this anymore, and we've sort of shown how you can't mess about, and the new rules are coming in. But should it matter? No. Chelsea's I can't be a biased Chelsea fan here. You got to be realistic and objective. Chelsea is an entity in isolation, not by its owners. It's something, and this something was bought, and when it was bought, everything that is to do with it goes with it. That's what you're buying. That's what you're absorbing. And Todd Bowley and Clear Lake knew that. So as much as it sucks, and we want to be like, oh, it was previous owner, come on, what does that mean? So Man City could friggin' spend 10 billion, win the quadruple 10 years in a row, or like how many years in a row while their investigation, then sell the club to Qatar, and because Qatar's bought Man City, the Premier League is, well, we can't do anything, we can't charge them because now they changed ownership. Of course not. I know that's an extreme example I've given, but it's the same, it's the same idea. So Chelsea, hopefully they see it and they go, yeah, that's pretty bad, but it's not that bad, and we move. All the accusations are, well, it's not going to be unfounded because Chelsea have self-reported them. So they've kind of dobbed themselves in, but they'll feel like that was the right thing to do. I feel like Chelsea are going to be fined, definitely. I don't know how much, but, whether it will be more than the current £92 million kitty. But will they get a points deduction? Maybe. They might get a points deduction. If it's with multiple accusations, I don't think it's going to be multiple 10-pointers. But, for example, in theory, and this is me, if you said to me, Jan, Chelsea are going to get a points deduction, I'd say, all right, give it to us. Just give it to us now. We're still in transition. We're still learning. Let's start fresh next season when the team is completely gelled under Pochettino and we can go for top 4. Who knows? Maybe even the title or whatever, seeing what happens. But then Man City might be relegated. We'll talk about that in a second again. If Chelsea, how much could we get a points deduction now and still be safe in the league? 10 points as well? I don't know, maybe 15 points? I don't know. Actually, probably quite a lot because of how bad the bottom three teams are. But the Times, Martin Ziegler said Chelsea and Man City could get relegated. Look, let's be real here. The Premier League want to show that they don't need an independent regulator, and they want to make examples of teams, big teams like Everton. Does the Premier League want to relegate Chelsea Football Club and Manchester City to the Championship? Now, I'm going to go on a limb here and say no. The treble winners, Erling Haaland, the player on the front of EAFC 24, Pep Guardiola, the best manager of all time. You know, freaking anyone in that Man City team. Chelsea, Enzo Fernandez, World Cup winner, best young player of the World Cup. The most expensive Premier League player ever in Caicedo. Nkunku coming back. Cole Palmer is like the talk of the town at the moment. This up and coming, exciting young, team. Reece James, probably the best right back in the world. This project that's very exciting and that looks like it's going to flourish into something special and represent the brand of the Premier League very well, being coached by Pochettino and an amazing, corresponding women's team, of course. Not sure anything would happen to them. It wouldn't do because it represents the men's team, but it's just not in their interest, It's just not in their interest. Maybe they give points deductions to both, and maybe that's, it stops Chelsea from qualifying for Europe, and maybe it stops Manchester City winning the Premier League, which would probably see Arsenal win it. Yeah. I don't know. The thing is with Man City is very difficult because there's so many charges. There's talks of titles being stripped, which is just chicken oriental, mate. But yes, that's a different story, and that is one that will develop long term. But I feel like you have to be a grown up here. Ornstein spoken about it at the time of speaking about it. I don't think Chelsea will get relegated, but Chelsea will get punished for this, and so will maybe Man City. And yes, I know it's going around social media, Chelsea fans are saying this, but it does feel like this, and I'm going to say it as well. The blue-tinted Chelsea glasses are going to come back on for this. Chelsea will get done before Man City. They just will, won't they? Man City have been publicised for much longer, 115 charges. Chelsea self-reported this stuff, and it's only really been talked about recently. You just know Chelsea will get done before Man City. The pressure will then follow Man City to be sorted out, and these 115 charges, But it does feel like just Chelsea will be next, and that's maybe like nihilism or negative or pessimistic, but I just feel like that's the way. Hopefully it will be manageable. I do feel like it would write off a season, but I feel like if it could come soon, I would prefer if, like, for example, Chelsea are going to make the Conference League this season, but then they get a 10-point or whatever deduction that just puts them lower down in the table but not relegated. I'll just go, give me that. It would be a disaster, Chelsea not getting any form of Europe this season. They probably feel like they can, but I think you can still get it through... Is it winning the Carabao Cup? You can get the conference or something? I think. Maybe that's another thing to consider. You win a cup and you get into Europe. Yeah, so just let's just take the points deduction this season. I mean, I'm laughing, but it's horrific. Anyway, of course, this story will develop. It is very, very interesting. Look, man, the media, when we got sanctioned by the UK government, everyone was like, Chelsea are getting relegated. They're doing it again. It's just part of it. It's headlines. We're all subject to it. Had Chelsea been clean as a whistle, I'd be talking about other clubs doing in the same position. It's just what happens, isn't it? Let me know what you think. I do think it will work out in the end, and ultimately, once it's dealt with, and then the new owners can just move forwards, and all the echoes past of the Abramovich era can be, as in the not trophy fun, as in the not fun trophy parts. All the negative parts can be lost and just swept away, and hopefully we can move on. Anyway, keep it locked. There are positive videos on the channel too, so like and subscribe. We'll talk about actual football and footballers, but while this story dominates the headlines, we will follow it. Alright guys, hopefully see you back here very soon. Peace.